What's up, Pewter peeps, and welcome into the all-new Pewtercast, your favorite spot for Bucs news, analysis, takes, hot and otherwise, and also the official podcast of the Fan-Sided Network. That's Ren. I'm Steve Carney. It's great to have you in here again tonight. If you're watching us streaming live on YouTube, on Twitter, Periscope, and of course at the Pewtercast.live. If you're listening to the podcast, we want to welcome you as well and hope that you are subscribed to the Pewtercast wherever you get your favorite podcast. Ren, how was your week, my friend?
My week was fine. Today was weird. I made it. Sorry, everyone. About a half hour late there.
Yeah, for everybody that's watching, we were supposed to go at 7:00.
Mm-hmm.
And Ren and I have been going back and forth most of the day talking about what we're going to talk about here tonight. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden it gets to be about 6:55 and I still haven't heard from Ren, are we ready to go here? And
no
so
link.
I'm like,
no link. I haven't sent you a link yet.
Yeah, he hasn't sent me a link yet because he's got the control.
I cannot tell you how many times I sent that exact text to Brent. Like, link? Question mark. Like, hello? Like you told me to be here at 9. I got here at 8:50. It's 9:20. Like,
no, where are
you?
Where are you? Yeah. So I get a oh shh. It's 7:00.
It's 7. Wow, the sun's up. Yeah, I don't know what happened. The day just got away from me. So apologize.
It happens.
Everyone. Yeah, but again, being on the other end of that for a very long time, it's something that I definitely don't strive to do. So I'm not going to guarantee it's going to be the last time, but it's going to be the last time.
We certainly hope so. And shout out to everybody who is watching. I see Frank G is here, so now we can officially start. And Alan says it is about time that we get going. For me, it's been a quiet week after the last couple of weeks. At least home life for me has been kind of wild and woolly. My wife thought she had torn her meniscus in her knee, and so we ended up having to do a bunch of doctor's visits, and thankfully it is not something that is going to require surgery, which is it's a big bonus. So yes. But that was all last week, and then this week it has been nice and quiet around here, which is exactly how I like it. Unfortunately, it has not been nice and quiet for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well, but we'll get to that here in just a couple of moments. We got a ton of stuff to get to here on this episode. If you are watching on YouTube, some of the things that we're going to talk about, including the re-signing of Ndamukong Suh, and we've got plenty of other rumors that are going around as free agency continues to march on, and plus some rants as well. I want to know what you people think about officials, because I have a certain bone to pick now with officials that we'll get to here in just a moment. This episode of the Pewtercast is, of course, sponsored by our friends at Manscaped. Manscaped, the premium brand of razors that help shave down there, if you know what I'm talking about. They've got their brand new Lawnmower 3.0 that Ren and I are both dying to get a hold of.
I know.
We have not gotten it.
That's why I was late. I was out checking mail for half an hour.
out waiting for the mailman to see if he has brought your Lawnmower version 3.0 with an all new ceramic blade. And you can get a new Lawnmower 3.0 from our friends at Manscaped at a discount. All you have to do is go to manscaped.com and enter the promo code FANSIDED20. You can get yourself a 20% off and free shipping on your order. Again, manscaped.com. Use the promo code FANSIDED20 for 20% off plus free shipping.
Yeah, and before we sort of get into this, after also apologizing for being late. Sorry, everyone. I've been taking over the producer's chair this year, and with that, I made the, opening, I don't know, graphic, it's a countdown from a minute, but it's 2 minutes long. So it's the worst countdown there is. But I kept leaving it in the pod when I put it out for, when it goes out to all the podcast platforms, and someone contacted me and they're like, that song's a little long. And I'm like, what are you talking? I'm like, oh yeah, it is. Like, I can't imagine just listening to that for like 2 minutes. The reason I do it is because it gives everyone a chance when we go live and people get notifications on their phone or wherever they're at. It gives them an extra chance to get in here. So, they sort of don't miss the opening or anything that we're saying. Instead of just like a 30-second timer. So I will be trimming that up, manscaping that up, if you will, for the future. And thanks for the shout out for pointing that out to me. So yeah, well, we got some people to get to, man. Where do you want to start?
Wow. Well, I think we need to start with some of the gang that is coming back for another round. We talked movements. Yeah, we talked a lot about last week that, we with JPP and Shaq Barrett and Chris Godwin and Levante David all coming back. And then this week, Ndamukong Suh, who I was kind of surprised wanted to come back for another year. I figured now that he had gotten his Lombardi trophy, he was going to go and look for maybe that one last multi-year deal to maybe go, whether it's go back to the West Coast or go to the Midwest. I'm sure that there would have been plenty of people that have been willing to give Ndamukong Suh a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal with avoidable year, so you can kind of push down the cap hit on him. But I'm really surprised, to be honest, Ren, that Ndamukong Suh came back for another season here with the Bucs. I know he loves it here. I know it. You can just see it in his face whenever he's in on Zoom. Whenever
then if he knows it, then why are you surprised?
Because I thought that this might be the last time that his agent was going to be able to go get the money.
For me, I thought he's made plenty of money. He was a top, like 5 draft pick back in the day.
He was number 2, but in front of your best friend, Gerald McCoy.
Yes. We'll be talking about my other best friend, Warren Sapp, later.
Yes.
So in front of Gerald McCoy, and then he signed a huge deal with Miami, signed another very nice deal with the Rams, and then's been sort of year to year here with the Bucs. And that's been, he's been making like 11, 10, $9 million. So yeah, I mean, Brent and I talked about it, way back. And Brent thought that because he was having, kids, and his age, that he might not be back, this year. I always thought he was going to be back one more year. I think he's sort of like Gronk right now, and Gronk just flats out admitted, like, I'm going to go year to year. And, if I want to play that year, then I'll play. And I think Suh's the same way. But I think this is it for Suh. I think this is his last year. But, he's always in shape. He's super durable. He never, he played the most defensive snaps on the interior, on the line this year for the Bucs. I mean, no matter what you thought of Ndamukong Suh before he got here, he has been nothing but great for the Buccaneers, these past 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, most people, when they thought of Ndamukong Suh back in the day before he came here to Tampa Bay, if you're a Bucs fan and if I said the name Ndamukong Suh, you're probably thinking of a couple of different things. You're thinking of him kicking Evan Smith when he was with the Packers.
Evan Dietrich Smith,
now Evan Smith, same guy. Or the time that he, who else? Which quarterback did he wipe out and get?
Was it Rodgers?
And may have been Aaron. Yeah, it was. It was Aaron Rodgers. And he got penalized for it, and then that led to the Fail Mary.
Yes, and then he got called into the principal's office. He had to go to New York and go meet Roger Goodell on the 130th floor. And that's kind of all that we sort of known about him. Because there's not a lot of, since Miami hasn't been that good, you don't really see a lot of them nationally. He sort of caught up with him again when he got to the Rams because when, Sean McVay got there and they started getting good. But Rams fans just kind of thought that he turned it off and on. That's what I kept hearing. Like, it's like, yeah, he's been okay, whatever. But he only seems to really try like in the playoffs. And I was like, oh, okay. But I was like you and many Bucs fans. I'm like, okay, like, I don't want to judge him for something he did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But my eye's going to be on you. But the first time I heard him in an interview, like, I liked him. I mean, he he's so smart and he's very articulate and he has a wide range of interests and he's cultured and, he has a degree in architect and he owns an architectural firm. I mean, he's him, transitioning from the football world to the real world is going to be nothing, no problem whatsoever because he's already done it. So yeah, again, I'm just really glad he's back because he changed that whole mindset, the whole attitude, of that offensive line. It was like Bruce Arians came in and goes, "Oh, hey, Gerald, like, you notice Gerald was there, like Gerald just happened to be there working out when PA showed up, day one and had, hey coach, look at me working out and look at me trying so hard." And a couple of days later they went, "Okay, bye." And a couple of days after that there was Suh. So, yeah, I just don't think if Gerald stayed and Suh didn't come, I don't think that the Buccaneers remain that number one run defense these past 2 years.
Well, for me, when I thought of Ndamukong Suh before he came to the Buccaneers, I compared him very much to, oh God, what was the name of the defensive tackle? He was with the Titans and then Washington, and he was with the Bucs for 1 year, and he was always in trouble. Oh God, someone in the chat is going to remember who I'm talking about. He came to the Bucs for his last year. He was
Hayward?
always. No, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember his name, and I forget if he was here with Schiano the last year of Schiano or the.
I remember he came to the Bucs and he went like back to Washington, and then like in a preseason game, he just kind of laid down on the field and was watching the play and waited till it ended, and then popped up, and people were like, "Oh yeah, that guy, like he quit." He quit a long time
Albert
ago.
Hainsworth, thank you,
Hainsworth, there it is. Yes,
that's it. Yes,
really?
Albert Hainsworth.
That's not a compliment.
Well, no, but Albert Hainsworth, extremely talented, could be a very extremely talented player, but was known for getting in trouble and being kind of a D. And I was like, is Ndamukong Suh that way? I mean, because I was worried about what his influence was going to be like to some of the other players, and was he going to be that cancer in the locker room that you don't want to have? And that turned out to be completely unfounded. And we know just from being around him. And I was talking with a former defensive lineman that played in Seattle, who knew Ndamukong Suh well because he played with Suh in Detroit, and he was like, you don't have to worry about anything about that because he is like the best guy in the locker room and everybody loves him. And when you see him, you're going to realize what a good player he is and what a good person he is. And that really put my mind at ease. I was very, very excited afterwards, after that conversation. And that was that was maybe a week or two after Suh signed his first deal with the Buccaneers. I was like, yes.
Yeah, he's very happy. Yeah, and he's been aces since he's been here. But someone who has not been aces and has been in the crosshairs of Bucs fans for a long time. Before we get there, thank you, Kyle, for your super chat. Happy Thursdays, guys. Go Bucs.
Yes.
Happy Thursday, Kyle. Go Bucs to you. Crosshairs, Donovan Smith. Even though I think the fans have let up on him, he probably had his most consistent year. Well, before this year, but as soon as George Warhop, the old offensive line coach, got jettisoned, and all the offensive linemen started trending upward, Kappa, Jensen, Donovan Smith, really Tristan Wirfs wasn't here yet. Donovan had his best year in 2019, and then he produced it and or replicated it and did even a little better. I saw today he only had 1 sack since the bye week. He had 6 sacks totals, but only 1 since the bye week. So those last 8 games, he played great. So they re-signed him. extended him another year, basically guaranteed his money this year, guaranteed him money next year, put on a void year, lowered the cap so they could sign Suh. And now Donovan's got this year and next year guaranteed, and he'll only be 30, and he's back in the free agency market and might be the top, tackle out there. And I thought this year, because his money wasn't guaranteed and the tackle market from, someone like this Trent Williams just made, I thought I thought Donovan might be gone because the Bucs just couldn't afford him. But he said today he had a Zoom call today with the media, and then Scott Reynolds asked him kind of what I said. He's like you could have done a 4 or 5 mega deal here. What's going on? He's basically like, I'm young. He's like, age is on my side. And if you look at the guaranteed monies, it is in 2 years, he's 28, he'll be 30, and he'll be back up there, and he can go after the Trent Williams money. So, not
only that, everybody's cap is going to be much higher. So you can only imagine what the deal he's going to make in 2 years, because 2023 comes around. It's all new TV deals, and those TV deal money is going to be ridiculous. I can't wait to see what the cap looks like in 2 years. Maybe not so much in 2022, because there's only bridge deals that are in there. Right. Every deal, and we talked about the TV deals last week. Every TV deal comes up in 2023, and they all are getting bigger. And so the NFL is going to get
100%, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's something
100% larger.
It's double. So you look at it, the cap is going to be something astronomical in 2023, and
I think next year it goes up by 30 million.
That wouldn't surprise me at all. But I think that it's going to go up by 30 million in 2022, and it's probably going to go up by 75 million the next year. I mean, it's something ridiculous like that. It's going to be like 200,
it's going to be like 250 million in 2023.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Donovan Smith's going to be rubbing his hands in anticipation, and he may have another Super Bowl trophy to go. He may have a couple of rings to go with it.
And I keep saying that this wide receiver market's going to bust. And as you can look at it this year, because Chris Godwin signs a franchise tag, which is an average of the top 10 players at his position, and only one guy is being paid more of all the wide receivers. Yeah, and it's not much more.
No,
he definitely didn't reset the market. So, but if you look at 2022 or 2023, when I'm saying the cap's going to be 205 million, 210 million, and then around 250, the year after that, then where's all that money going to go? Are the quarterbacks just going to start eating it up like they do now? And
it's not like you have to pay these giant bonuses to your first overall draft picks anymore. Now with the rookie salary cap in place, there was one thing when Sam Bradford was getting $53 million guaranteed before taking a snap. But you don't have to worry about that anymore. So it should be a lot of fun. By the way, I saw that our old friend Adam Humphries is officially off the market as well. He signs with the Washington football team. That was a guy that I thought, well, maybe if you need someone to do short passing, that's a guy you want. If you need a bubble screen expert for Tom Brady, that's the guy you want to go to, is Adam Humphries, because he had
a guy who won't drop a punt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's just about it with Adam. I liked Adam, but he just can't play slot in this offense, and he's not fast enough to play on the outside, and he just doesn't bring anything to the team. I mean, he does everything right. He's in the right place, and he gets open and he catches the ball. Those are three very important things, but he would just cost too much money. I mean, it's time to see what Tyler Johnson has,
Yep.
It's
you've got Tyler Johnson, you've got Scotty Miller.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So we're all set. You bring AB back, yay, nay. You're still all set, with 3, because that, the 5th wide receiver might be your return guy. You could go get somebody like the Bucs have talked to Felton from UCLA twice, who was a receiver, then got switched to running back, and he also, returns punts and returns kicks. And think of him as Curtis Samuel for the Panthers before he left, but used correctly. They didn't use Curtis Samuel the first 3 years they had him, and then last year they sort of figured it out, and probably because McCaffrey got hurt, and it was kind of got pushed into that role. But yeah, so a guy like Darren Felton could be, you could make him a wide receiver, put him under the wide receiver mark when you're filling out your roster. So, I mean, again, I love Adam, but I just okay, I'm glad he got a job. That's about it.
Yeah, and another guy that's going to be back in our division, though not with the Buccaneers, Mike Davis, moves from the Carolina Panthers to the Atlanta Falcons. That was a guy that I thought the Bucs needed to take a run after if they were looking for somebody to be that change of pace receiving type back to complement Ronald Jones. So that's not going to happen. But Le'Veon Bell, who is number 2 on my list and number 1 on yours, is still available. And so
still available. And I was in a chat room today watching another podcast, and they were talking about who we're going to get to later, Gio Bernard. I'm like, he's still under contract. They're talking about, you can get him for a 5th or a 6th, and it's like, why are you giving a draft pick away, giving assets away to get to a guy who he's like a poor man's James White. When everyone was talking about James White, it was, he doesn't run between the tackles very well, but he can pick up the blitz and he's an excellent pass catcher. And then, I kept in that pod I was watching, or YouTube channel I was watching, I'm like, why isn't anyone talking about, am I crazy? Why isn't anyone talking about Bell? And they said, one of them said that they thought he was washed. But then the other one, who's a Jets fan, said he was a really great receiver for the Jets the past 2 years. And Andy Reid just didn't use him last year. And the guy who said he was washed said he was one of the best blitz pickup backs he'd ever seen. So that's what you wanted. That's what you wanted, James White. That's it. That's just the guy you want.
I'm sorry. Did Le'Veon Bell not get to the Super Bowl this year? Did the Chiefs not get to the Super Bowl? I mean, last I checked, Clyde Edwards-Helaire didn't play for at least 2 games in the postseason for the Chiefs, and Le'Veon Bell helped get that team beyond the AFC Championship game and into the Super Bowl. I think that people look at Le'Veon Bell and feel that he's going to be asking for the astronomical numbers that he was looking for a couple of years ago, right, when he was still in Pittsburgh and they were franchise tagging him because he was their bell cow. He's not going to be anybody's bell cow now. He hasn't been a bell cow since coming to Kansas City. Kansas City didn't need him. They got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The Bucs don't need him to be the bell cow. They need him to be the change of pace.
They need him to be James White. Yeah. And he's a better version, in my opinion. And he paid for, and again, he played for $750,000. He played for less than $1 million for the Chiefs last year.
And Tom Brady can wave his magic. Yes. Wave the magic Brady fingers, the magic TB12 shaker bottle, and go
make him behave.
And make him made Antonio Brown behave.
Yeah, he did. I'm telling you, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I said it a few times. When Antonio Brown, when I saw his first Zoom call and he came to the Bucs and he had the TB12 hat on, I went, "Oh," I'm like, "This guy is going to be he's going to be the spokesman for TB12." Yep. It's like, "Hey, look what it did for me." Here's my list of charges. Scrolls down. I've been a perfect person since I got on the TB12 diet. That's right. It helped you mental health and all this other stuff. I'm like, okay. So I kind of think Tom Brady has sort of a little bit of stock in Antonio Brown, because I think he wants to turn his life around, and then Antonio Brown will then be paid by Tom Brady to talk about how great TB12 turned his life around.
And what better second person to do that to than Le'Veon Bell? I mean, Le'Veon Bell is not.
What's your head size, Le'Veon?
Exactly. I'm telling you, if I'm anybody that Tom Brady, all he's got to do is wave the magic shaker bottle, and all of a sudden, here comes this person out of the woodworks. I mean, he got Gronk to come last year. He got Antonio Brown in the middle of the season. He's gonna have something up his sleeve to try and help out. I mean, he wouldn't have restructured his deal and made it so the Bucs had all this cap room to work with to get all these guys signed, if he didn't think that he was going to be able to wave his magic and get something else that he was looking for. You don't get something for nothing. So I just have a feeling that somebody like Le'Veon Bell would be perfect to come over, or Tom Brady would be like, I want him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's kind of a no-brainer for who's out there. But again, there could be things behind the scenes that, maybe Tom Brady doesn't want him. Who knows?
Who knows?
But so do we have anything left you want to talk about of Donovan Smith before we move on?
Donovan Smith, it's funny. When I was at DAE, Donovan Smith was one of those names that you just, working with Ian Beckles for 15 years, when I wanted to know about offensive line play, there was nobody better to go to than Ian, because someone that played on an NFL offensive line, albeit not a very good one, but that had some good pieces, but wasn't very good overall. But he's the one guy that, I think that, Ian was like the jury was out on Donovan Smith even through the beginning of this year. But I think that I think what we've realized is that, I think that having that calming presence behind him just makes him a better quarterback, and I don't want to say that that's a knock on Jameis Winston, but it kind of is a knock on Jameis Winston. That, if you've got to worry about rolling pockets and, is this guy not going to know how long to hold on to the football, or does he know how to get rid of the football? Does he know how to do all the things that Tom Brady knows?
Give up on the play, man. It's over. Like your offensive line can't hold people for 5 seconds, man.
I think that Tom Brady has meant as much, if not more, to Donovan Smith than anybody else on that team.
Yeah, that's a good point, because especially I remember we were doing a pod, during the first half of the year, and I don't know why, but Mark Cook was in the chat, and he just kind of said, he jumped in and only said one thing, and he said, we were talking about Donovan Smith. He's like, he is what he is. He'll be gone next year, and that's what everyone thought. Like, if you think before week 8, that's when everyone thought. It's because that's what we, as fans, expected was Brady's going to get rid of the ball quicker. He's not going to hold on to the ball and try to extend the play. He's going to throw it away, which is going to help. He's going to be able to read defenses faster. And all those things going to help the offensive line not have to hold their guy as long. And then through those first 8 games, everyone's like, like, it's like, he started to give up on him. It's like, well, if you can't hold your guy long enough to let Tom Brady get rid of the ball, then there's a serious problem. But then I don't know if something clicked. It was the opponents, or it was coaching, or it was Tom, or it was but something happened. And like I said, he played lights out those last 8 games. So
the entire offensive line played lights out the final 8 games. I mean, you could say that, Tristan Wirfs had maybe the best full season overall. I think he only allowed 1 sack all year. So I think Tristan Wirfs was a huge plus. Even though you had Alex Kappa go down in the postseason, and Aaron Stinney had to step up, which he did, and now he has been rewarded for that. But with Jensen and Marpet, and then Donovan Smith coming around, you were able to bring another Lombardi trophy here, and 4 guys doesn't do it. It takes all 5. And so that's where you look at for Donovan Smith. I'm happy for him. I'm excited that he's going to be able to go for a second run here. Let's go for 2. And here we are now looking at, I can't believe we're talking about the possibility of going for another Super Bowl. I mean, even in 2003,
28-0, Carney. We're going 28-0. We're already 8-0. Now we got to win the next 20 games.
Hey, when Colin Cowherd gives you an A+ on your off season, and that was before they signed Ndamukong Suh. That's pretty good. You've done well.
One thing that's starting to bother me a little bit is how the Bucks Instagram and Twitter accounts are still sort of really pushing. Like, seems like every day there's 10 new pictures of the Bucks on the field celebrating the Super Bowl. Now, I'm gonna give them till draft day until they quit doing this, because like, it's a new team. You hear all these things like, well, you got to forget about it, it's a new year. Like, so when does that really start? I mean, officially it has started.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you look on Instagram, like, you see all these people that like it, and there's a lot of players, especially the pictures they're in. So I don't think the Instagram and Twitter accounts are really helping these guys get past this and sort of focus on the next year. It's very trivial. It's very stupid. It's just something that's a little bit kind of in my craw. I'm kind of like, okay, like, yes, it was great, but like, we need to move on here.
Well, and that's
to help these guys move on.
That's the difference between being inside the room and outside the room. Even though they're in the building, the Bucs social media team is still outside the room. And I'm sure that the coaching staff, starting with Bruce Arians and going through the coordinators and the position coaches, they're already knee deep into what they need to do for whether it's the first game of the preseason, which amazing to think that we're actually going to have preseason games here again.
I know. Hooray!
Hooray! I'm the worst. Like, I'm not a fan of preseason games at all. So, and it's because I've always had to produce them, and they can be it's kind of rough. When you have to talk for an hour after a game about guys that aren't going to make this team. Like, hey, he looked good. Nobody cares. Look, they care
Everybody cares, Carney. We care. Probably not this year, though. It used to care. That's how I've been thinking about that. Like, we used to agonize over who the fifth linebacker is, and like, we really did. Like, and now it's just like I don't care. Like, when's the season start? Like,
let's get the season.
Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
I want to know the 53 players that are going to be on the roster for the first practice of the regular season. And I want to know the 47 guys that are going to be on the field for that first Sunday. That's what I care about. Those are the guys that I'm interested.
Well, two guys that might be on there. The Bucs signed today, I think, officially. Josh Wells, who was their swing tackle, has been hanging around the team for a couple of years. He got signed back. And another player, Brad Seaton, who actually opted out last year. This guy's a giant. Jameer Dotson used to be the one who kind of towered over everybody. You could tell Dot was like 6'9". I think Seaton's taller. Wow. I know he's listed at 6'9", but you'll be able to see that guy. So I'm interested to see that battle and see how it goes, because Seaton's also been hanging around the team for a few years. Yeah,
but now for Dot, I remember being in the locker room with DeMar Dotson and just being agape. Like, I've been around big people before, and I've worked in Major League Baseball with some big guys. And Jeff Neiman with the Tampa Bay Rays is 6'9", a legit 6'9", very tall. I've done stuff with guys in the NBA, 7-footers, and been around those guys. DeMar Dotson was another creature entirely, because not only was he huge, 6'9", he's so tall, but he's so wide, and it was just like, how do they build creatures like this? How much stone do you need to stack to build brick houses that will fit DeMar Dotson? And Brad Seaton you're right, is the same way. Just a monster of a man. And Josh Wells obviously taking the spot of Joe Haig, who is now going to Pittsburgh. So we now know who the swing tackle is going to be. And that will lead us to, well, I guess the question becoming, what are the Bucs doing at pick number 32? We'll tell you about that here in just a moment here on the PeterCast. So that's
going to be a thing, by the way.
Yeah, it's for those of us that are on the live stream. What's going on here is that we have to make a legitimate pause so we can
So
figure out exactly where the commercials are going to go. Where the ads go. You now know how we're going to figure out where the ads are going to go here. So let's get rolling into the second part of tonight's Pewtercast as we get ready here. The Bucs pick number 32 in the upcoming NFL draft, Ren. And, we've talked a lot over the last couple of weeks about exactly what we should be targeting with that number 32 pick and then beyond. Some of the needs that this team is still going to require even after getting through free agency, the first couple of layers of free agency. And now that you've seen Josh Wells resign, you've seen Brad Seaton come back, that solidifies what you look like outside of the tackles or on the outside of the line.
Right.
The inside of the line really still is going to need some more work and some more attention paid to it because
we got
bringing Eric Stinney back.
He's not a center though.
Stinney and
that's it. Mulcham, Mr. Pringles, man. That's what I call him. Yeah, when he took his picture with the team, he had the Pringles mustache.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, but it's gone now. It's been gone for a while, but Mulcham's there. But yeah, so having there's no proven depth, and I guess it's hard pressed to say that Stinney's proven depth, but it's also hard pressed to say Stinney's not proven depth. But besides Aaron Stinney, there's nobody back there that's seen any game time action at all.
Yeah. AQ Shipley has had to retire due to injury, and you look at what else they have when it comes to the interior of the offensive line. If something were to happen to Ryan Jensen, right now the move is to move Ali Marpet to center. And put someone else in at guard, and
Ali can't snap.
Yeah, that's not what I want to see.
He can't. He worm burns it like twice a game.
I don't like the idea. I think that as much as you may want somebody defensively at 32, I would much prefer if there is an interior offensive lineman, particularly a center, but a guard that could play center as well.
That's what I'm looking for.
Would be ideal at 32. At least for me, I would prefer a center or a guard that can play center.
I don't know if it's ideal, but I think these are some of the positions we need to start looking at. Like a guard that can a center guard center, however you want to do it. Because of Jensen, and this is as of now, because as of right now, Jensen hasn't been extended, he hasn't been restructured, so this is Jensen's last year on the contract. So get somebody in the hopper. We talked about how there's no proven depth. There's some guys there like Mulcham and Stinney, but having like a day one, day two type of guy into your offensive line, because we said it 100 times, we'll say it again. It's just where we need high draft picks as edge and interior defensive line. They're just not there, and they're just not there. So another position besides the interior offensive line, I think, like if you're into the draft, you start looking at some players to play that position. I think also cornerback. You're going to have to pay Carlton Davis a buttload of money coming up next year, because right now it's hard to argue he's not a top 10 corner. If this defense stays where they are, and that pass rush, if Vita stays healthy, that pass rush I think is going to be deadly this year, which is of course going to help the back end. It's going to make Carlton Davis look even better. So he might be looking and probably will be deserved to get paid as a top 5 corner.
Wow.
Next year. So now you got him. So, and then the year after that, you got Dean and Bunting both up for new contracts.
Yeah.
So, because it's so weak where you want depth and kind of invest youth, like you shouldn't reach for guys. So finding somebody that can help you down the road next year in a year or two, because we've seen, I don't think Sean Murphy Bunting or Dean have finished a year without being hurt yet. So So a first round corner can help you in that situation too. And then of course running back, but I don't really want to talk about that one.
Yeah, we got into running back big time
Right.
last week, and I think that's but this is the point where at 32 where you could actually make a premium because you could trade down and get an extra pick, whether it's this year or next year, to allow a team to come back up and pick that final selection in the first round.
If I traded down, I would only ask for next year's picks, and I wouldn't want to pick after the 4th round this year. I'd take all my day 3 picks and try to get them into day 2, and then trade out a first round, get to the 2nd round, and any extra pick I got, I would just say it's for 2022. It's for what we need. It's that bad. It really is. So like you can go get your gadget players like Felton, or if you want to draft a punter, okay, go ahead. An inside linebacker at day 2, an off-ball linebacker to eventually replace Devontae David, okay. But a guy that you find 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round is just going to be a special teamer. Mm-hmm. And so these guys really aren't guys that have a high percentage value that are going to be developed and be an eventual starter. That's your day 1, day 2 guys. So if you have to sit these guys a year and put them on special teams and stuff, I think that's just kind of the way to go.
Yeah, to me, the only benefit of picking at 32 as opposed to moving down to into day 2 and having one of those first, say, 3 or 4 picks at the top of the 2nd round is the fact that you get the 5th-year option.
Yeah,
for the first round, as opposed to all the other rounds, they're all straight 4-year deals, and so you have to worry about, are we going to be able to retain these guys an extra year? You don't have an extra year of control that you can work with, but on the other hand, I would much rather not reach for a guy that I think that is a high to mid 2nd round pick with that final pick in the 1st round. I'm much more content with the team if I see them move down and pick up some extra picks, whether they're at the back end of this year or next year's draft. And as John put up on YouTube, could this be the most boring year ever for the Bucs fans to watch in depth the NFL draft? Not a serious immediate need. It's more like a baseball draft, all for the future.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, John.
All I know is that for the guys that are doing the draft on radio, of which I have been a part of for the last 10 years, myself and TJ Reeves, and yes, that is, by the way, that is my former boss. It is my former boss that's in there. I was a part of the Bucs radio network coverage of the draft for the last 10 years, and picking 32 is maybe the most unbelievable thing that I've ever seen, because it is going to be just a long day, long night for these guys.
It's going to be a very long day.
And it's going to be a long day for Bucs fans, because you're going to wait, and you're going to wait. They don't make that deal before they go on the clock. So you're going to have to go through 310 minutes.
Yeah.
Which by the way is over 5 hours of picks before they even get on the clock to make the deal to get out of the 1st round.
This is what I really think is going to happen. Like, if you held a gun to my head and say pick something that could happen, somebody's going to fall. Somebody's going to fall, and it's going to be an absolute best player on the board luxury pick. And I'm talking possible quarterback. Like, it could be a wide receiver. Like, it could be.
Would it be like Edward Blair at the end of the 1st round?
Yeah, and like you saw the Patriots do it 2 years before that, where Sony Michel just fell to him. It could be somebody that's not even on. It could even be a safety, like somebody who's totally not on your radar. But it's like, we can't pass this guy up because in 2 years we're gonna be really happy we have him. That's what I really think is gonna happen. What I want to happen, I definitely want him to trade down and gather some more picks for the future. But I think and every year it happens, someone's going to fall and the Bucs will be in the perfect position just to be like, okay, like we'll take them. And the comments are going to be, the rich get richer, and like,
which is great.
Yeah.
That never happens with us. When was the last time we said the rich get richer with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? When was that? I can't ever think of that. Ever. Yeah. Never. Not after the 2002 Super Bowl year.
No.
I mean, the Bucs really didn't do much after the 2002 Super Bowl. They certainly didn't add on that next year. They kind of went back with the hey, we
don't have any money or draft picks.
Yeah,
good luck, John.
We're in salary cap now. Thanks, Rich McKay and Bruce Allen.
They got their trophy.
Exactly. So I think it's going to be so long, and I feel bad for everybody who's going to be watching, and if they have the draft party at Raymond James Stadium, I don't think they're going to, but that would be like, I can only imagine if they had the draft party going on at Raymond James Stadium that night.
I went to one of those the year that Vea got picked, so he got picked somewhere like around 19 because I think they traded down twice.
Yeah,
and it was getting pretty thin by the time Vea was picked, and then after it was a complete ghost town.
Oh, absolutely.
But it was late.
I remember the year they picked Vernon Hargreaves. I was actually because normally I was in studio for the drafts, but one year because my boss John Mamola was out of town, he needed someone to do his job because he was gonna run the show at Raymond James Stadium for the draft party, making sure that you get in and out of commercials on time and everything that need be. And he needed someone to do that. And he was like, you do that, Carney. you know what the hell is going on. So I ended up having to do that. And that was the year of Vernon Hargreaves. And I remember someone came up to TJ and was like, they're trading down. Like well before I think they were picking 9 there.
Yeah,
they picked 9 that year, and they traded down to 11.
Yep.
To take Vernon Hargreaves, and before I think it was while it was like 7 or 8, someone came up from the team and told TJ eventually that they were trading down because we were in break after pick 8 and before the Bucs before we came back from the television break. That's when we take our breaks as well on the radio. And he told everybody at Raymond James Stadium, the Bucs have made a trade to trade down. So everybody in the building at Raymond James Stadium knew that the Bucs were trading down in the commercial break. So it's one of the benefits of being at one of these.
Benefits of having somebody with loose lips with the intercom.
Hey, I didn't say it. No, but TJ told everybody during the break that the Bucs were going to trade down. To let everyone know, like, hey, this is gonna happen. And by the time they came back from break, the trade had been officially announced. So it was like, okay. So, but yeah, it was like before. So TJ knew, I think, a pick before, and then he told them in the break.
Yeah, I don't care anymore.
So it's just the benefit of it. I know you don't care. I know you don't care.
I know I did, but I don't want to hear the ins and outs of how it went down. Hey, inside access. Okay, what's the story? What's the piece we missed with TJ?
I'm trying to. Now I've lost track.
No, I'm done. All right, yeah.
Let's.
That gives a perfect time to move on to rumors.
I've heard a rumor out there.
Well, in fact, it's
in our comments on YouTube, we'll get to it. And we'll get to it here next on the PeterCast. Rumor time. Rumor has it that there are definitely rumors swirling around the
Yes.
Advent Health Training Center.
The rumor is there are definitely rumors.
The
I
rumors
like it.
are that there are rumors. And what's their favorite Fleetwood Mac album? There, Rumors.
That would make sense.
It would make sense.
I wish I knew another Fleetwood Mac album so I could have said it
Tusk.
beforehand.
Tusk.
Yeah. I know the songs, not the albums.
So I like one of the comments that we had from earlier on the YouTube show. And again, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Also watching on Twitter and at the pewtercast.live. Rarely even when we were talking about wide receivers, said, if we don't get AB back, BA should give Larry Fitzgerald a call. And I saw these rumors going around this afternoon talking about how Larry
Twitter rumors.
Yes, these are Twitter rumors. The water cooler talk on Twitter, talking about, should they go after Larry Fitzgerald, or would Larry Fitzgerald be interested in coming to Tampa Bay and making a run at a Super Bowl?
Yeah,
as the number 3.
Yeah, my thoughts are like, okay, Larry Fitzgerald would play the slot in this offense until he was BA. So that's the Chris Godwin spot, which makes him, the guy that's going to have a lot of blocking duties in the run game. And, which is fine because he did it well. Now, Larry Fitzgerald isn't Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald's been old for like 5 years now.
Yes.
He has been, he's such a great person. Like, you don't really want to say he's washed out loud, but no. he's washed. Okay. But at first when this was going around Twitter, I was like, okay, well, if Godwin goes down, because he goes down every year for a little bit, then Larry could step in. But then I'm like, no, that's why we have Tyler Johnson, and we need to see what we have here in Tyler Johnson. Like, Tyler Johnson is supposed to be number 2 in that slot position. So even though, I would like for Larry to come here and chase a ring, and he's such a great dude, and such a pro's pro and all that, it's just like we don't need him, and he doesn't bring anything to the team. Like Antonio Brown, he brings great feet. He's the best at getting off the ball. He can take a bubble screen all the way. There's lots of things that AB make people miss in open space, which a lot of our wide receivers can't. Mike Evans will fall down. Chris Godwin will try to run him over. Scotty Miller will dive for the turf. Tyler Johnson I think he's more in the Chris Godwin mold, but AB will juke you because he has great feet, and he can turn a 7-yard pass and go all the way, or a bubble screen and turn in 25 yards. Larry Fitzgerald can't do any of that. So at first I was excited about it, and I wouldn't say excited, but I was like, okay, that could work. But then when I really thought about it, if he's just there to, back up Chris Godwin, if something happens to him, then we don't need him, because that's when the Bucs need to see what they have in Tyler Johnson. So it's a nice story, but no thanks.
Yeah, I thought that Larry Fitzgerald was going to retire 3 years ago, to be honest. And him coming back each of the last couple of seasons was surprising, to say the least, for me, as someone that had to do news and notes around the league. I'm going, Larry Fitzgerald is back? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Didn't he retire in 14?
Yeah. I thought everybody remembers Larry Fitzgerald running to the end zone in Super Bowl 43. 43 in Tampa. Super Bowl 5. So it's about the case as well. But Larry Fitzgerald hasn't been that Larry Fitzgerald for close to half dozen years. So I don't see that being the case. How about Shady McCoy on Twitter saying today that he had COVID-19? Did he? Yes. We were never on the COVID-19 list, But
you had it during the
COVID.
season, he said?
He did
Or
not. No, it came
he
out.
has it now?
He had it after the Super Bowl, and said
Yeah.
he finally just started getting over it here over the last week or so. So it apparently knocked
I think
him.
Cheryl might have COVID. She's been down for about a week now.
Has she really? Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
She has her throat's really swollen, and
yeah,
it's hard for her to get out of bed.
yeah. So
I guess I have it too.
We'll send well wishes to Cheryl. Well, hopefully you don't, because I saw you earlier this week. You better not have.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. Whoops. I should have kept that to myself.
Probably should have kept that one to yourself.
We shook hands. Oopsie.
We might be in trouble. Speaking of COVID-19, how about the NFL today getting the okay to return the draft war rooms to effect? There will be draft rooms for teams, and they will not have to be masked or respect social distancing if everybody is vaccinated.
Yes. 10 people, but besides that, it's kind of business as usual. I think the exact word, I shouldn't say the exact wording, the wording on the social distancing will be laxed or relaxed or something that favors. So like you said, no mask, you can eat and drink, but you do have to supply a list to the NFL in a couple of weeks, and everyone has to have their card and be vaccinated. And if you get COVID and you haven't been vaccinated and you're in that 90-day grace period, that doesn't count either. You have to be fully vaccinated, fully cleared. But it looks like at least the draft room is going to be just about as normal, except for the number of people. And like I said, they have to put their list into the NFL, but it's good to see. It's good to see. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, last year's draft was such a anomaly. But it was cool because there wasn't, there weren't any sports going on. It was different, but I don't think different in that case was a bad thing, especially with everything that was going on. Now, we know that there's going to be a central location for the draft this year, as opposed to Roger Goodell being in his basement again. Although, let's face it, that actually worked out rather well for Roger. So that worked out well for Roger, and I think that the NFL did an incredible job last year with the draft being the first big event of the pandemic, and so to be able to pull that one off was incredible. And the fact that they're going to be able to have a little bit more of a normal draft year.
I'll be interested to see what they do in Cleveland. And they're going there, but I want to see how many fans are allowed and if they're going to bring players. But I hope it goes back to Vegas soon, because there was supposed to be a boat that was supposed to carry a gondola was supposed to carry the guys from the green room up to the stage. I can just imagine, all the fountains going on. That would have been a spectacle. So I hope it goes back there soon. But yeah, I'm interested to see how the NFL sort of handles it. Like you said, because they are going to a central location. So that should be fun.
It should be fun. What isn't fun though, Ren, was the story that came out earlier this week involving the NHL and their officials. NHL referee, Tim Peel.
Listen up, Tom Brady conspiracy theorists.
Yeah. And NHL official Tim Peel was fired by the league earlier this week for being caught on his microphone saying that he was giving a penalty to a team, not because they committed a penalty, but just because.
Mm-hmm. And
so everybody that thinks that the refs are against you, guess what? They might be.
They might be.
So
we have our first official case of a ref just doing it because they don't like you.
Because they don't like you. So apparently that does happen, and now everybody knows about it. I'm curious. We all know that NFL officials are some of the best officials in all of sports. I think that. When you look at other leagues, you can spot that official where you're going, oh no. Like in Major League Baseball, you have Angel Hernandez and Joe West. You hear some of these guys' names that that are just awful. And in basketball, you have guys that and now we know that you had Tim Donaghy, who was in the NBA, who was busted for betting on games as a referee, and in the NHL now we've got Tim Peel that obviously, the NFL, you don't really have that. But I think that the NFL needs to get out in front of this, because I think that there's going to end up being much like the NBA does, a last 2-minute statement that goes out. So every call made within a certain period of time, whether it's the last 2 minutes from the 2-minute warning to the end of each half. But you're going to have if there is a questionable call, the NFL is going to have to release a statement almost immediately and say this was the right call or this was the wrong call, because right now
they do it a little bit. I think I would like more transparency, because I do know, and I'm sure you know this too, that like every team takes about 10 plays and sends them off to the league and go, okay, clarify this for me. Like, why wasn't this, or why was this? And Dirk Cutter kind of used to talk about him, which was one thing I liked about it. But he only did it for a few weeks, and he kind of shut the whole thing down. I was like, I'm just going to keep that in house. And everyone's like, boo. But yeah, so like you said, the NBA makes their findings public. And you've heard the NFL every once in a while come out, and say, oh, yeah, we blew that. Not very often. Of course, the most famous one would be the Saints. What was it? Not Vikings, Rams. The Saints-Rams playoff game.
The pass interference call.
Yeah, the pass interference. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a report, from the NFL saying,
why not
wrong.
Yeah, why not make the I guess you could call it
the grading system public.
Yeah, make it public. How accurate are these guys? And let's make it public. And that I think would be the best thing that the NFL could do to shut up the people saying that the referees are against us. Like, every referee is against us. Now, it's one thing to say that the announcers are against you, but to say that the refs are against you but I think that would be a great plan for the NFL. Maybe not to release like all of the algorithm that they use to determine, okay, these guys are going to be our playoff officials, but maybe you go, okay, they got this right, they got that wrong, and you give the fans.
Do you want to see their grades for the game, or do you want to see their grades for like challenge calls, or do you want to see grades for inside 2 minutes? Or because what I would like to know, this is what I want to see, and I just thought of this as I was saying this to you. I would like to see which crews call more type of penalties, like which crews call more defensive holding, which pass interference, offensive holding, roughing the passer. Those are like the stats I'd like to see. Just as a fan, knowing going into this game, being like, and who's got around that? Someone we talked about earlier is Ndamukong Suh. Like, Ndamukong Suh will never land on a guy anymore. He just pushes him into the dirt. Like, and I've seen Devin White pick up on that too. They just get to the quarterback and they just shove him to the ground. That way they don't have to land on him and get that 15.
Get the 15.
Yeah, but that's what I would like to see. Sort of like which referee crews tend to lean and look at what different types of penalties.
They're all things that I'm sure that teams already have. I'm sure every team has a book on which official calls, which umpire calls offensive holding the most.
Right.
Which back judge is the biggest stickler of delay of game? Because some of them will give you to zero. They'll look down it's like, and they'll look up again before they throw the flag.
It's bad. Last year was the worst I ever saw, which I don't really mind as long as you do it league wide. I kind of think delay of game sort of a stupid, like, because they're not trying to. There's no advantage to it. Like,
no, but they'll know. But they know. If you have if it's 40-second timing rules, which guy is gonna throw the flag at 40? And which guy is gonna throw the flag at 41 or 42? Because that could mean a lot.
Yeah, I'm with you, but I just think kind of that rule. I think that's why they have people that go to 41 and 42, because it's not this distinct advantage the offense is getting over the defense. I mean, they're going as fast as they can. Now, if it's late in the game, but that's when that really starts to show up and they start to really pay attention to it. Like inside 4 minutes, of the second quarter, and especially the fourth quarter, that's when, they really start to, if you see a flag thrown for delay of game, that's when you see it. But, I can't tell you how many times I watched Jameis Winston take a snap at 42 and a half.
I know. It's ridiculous. The other piece that you could really get involved with is challenge rate and overturn rate. How many, and that you can break down by the official, not just by crew. You could break that down by the individual official. Okay, this side judge gets, gets challenged. Got challenged 13 times last year.
Right.
And had 4 of them overturned, whereas this guy only got challenged 5 times, but he got overturned 4. So I mean, you could really do an interesting.
That's a whole nother hour of programming for ESPN.
I know. Could you imagine? Could you imagine all of the official, the former officials that are now on network television, whether it's Mike Carey or Pereira, all these guys that have jobs on television because of because
explaining the rules.
Yeah.
I'm with John here. Go with robots. Not only go with robots, you know what I want to see? Like at the Shrine practices 2 years ago, they didn't have the Shrine Bowl this year. They have the digital down marker where it says it reads where the ball placement is, and it gives you a point. So it's like 4.3 yards away. I think there should be a chip inside the ball. And so you don't have to have the chains at all. Plus, what they started doing this year was they don't give you the half yard. Like there was no measurements this year, hardly at all. Like if it's a half yard short, the refs either push the ball forward or back. They round up or down and put it on the yard marker. And if it's close, they're just like, boop, first down. When they place the ball after a kickoff, it's never like at the 22 and a half. It's on the 21 or it's on the 22. Like they've, and no one's talked about this, but there's no half yards anymore until you get like inside the 5-yard line.
Yeah. The other thing that they should be doing is with that chip, have it be an RFID chip at the nose of the football. You have one on each end of the football, and that way you don't have to worry about did they break the plane for a touchdown. You could tell if the RFID chip got over the paint and have the paint have something in it, and boom, touchdown.
What's an RFDI chip?
Radio frequency identification.
Duh.
So
I didn't know that.
But it's the chip that you're talking about. Where it sends out a signal. Okay, this is where I need to be. So,
yeah. So that we talked a lot about officials more than I thought we were going to.
I know
we came up with some good ideas. We do have to talk about Gio Bernard, but I don't want to now because we talked about how we already said it's Bell. Like I kind of ruined it at the beginning. Like he's on. Like why are you gonna like give up a draft pick? It was just one of those things that was going around Twitter today because someone tweeted out that people have been calling about how teams wanting to trade for Bernard. And so Buck fans were like, hey, maybe the Bucks are calling. He could do this and do that. But like, if you don't want Bell, you don't want Bernard. He just does everything worse than James White, who does it worse than Le'Veon Bell, in my opinion. So, and then you have to give up, draft capital to do it then. So I'm not down on that. The only thing I have left is our good friend, Mr. Entertainment, Warren Sapp.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any good Warren Sapp stories?
The only Warren Sapp stories I have are from after he retired and when Rick Stroud and Tom Jones first got the morning show in DAE, they had Warren on.
Right.
And like every time that Rick would ask Warren a question, Warren would answer it, and every time Tom would ask Warren a question, Warren would blow it off. So,
really?
Yeah, I don't think he was a big fan of Tom, but he
gets that a lot.
So, but yeah, I really don't have a whole lot of Warren stories. I've heard some great Warren stories. The one that Derek Brooks told about Tony Dungy when they were having problems with Warren.
Oh yeah, he went to Brooks and Lynch.
Yeah, he went to Brooks and Lynch, and Brooks and Lynch are like, we're like, we can't control, there's nothing we can do about this. And he's like, well, I guess we're gonna have to let you go because we can win without you. We can't win without 99, which I thought was that's maybe my favorite Warren story of all.
Well, in case you missed it, Warren Sapp was on Pewter Report's podcast, and I have that in quotes as I hit my mic with my hand because Warren Sapp, and I've said this on this pod many times, Warren Sapp is out for Warren Sapp. He's not an ambassador to the Buccaneers. Warren Sapp is an ambassador for himself. He might be one of the most selfish human beings I've ever met in my whole entire life. Also, he is not a talent evaluator. So first off, he shows up on Pewter Report, and he's late. He's supposed to be there at 4. He says he's going to be there at 4:15. Doesn't show up till past 4:20. Okay, big deal. Then he's on his phone.
We were half an hour late today.
Yeah. So I mean, things happen. So now he's on his phone, doing the pod, making faces, and he has no Wi-Fi in his house. Well, if he had no Wi-Fi in his house, then why the hell is he in his house doing this pod that he's already 20 minutes late for in the beginning? And the reason he was there, he was supposed to go over some. The guys from Pewter Report had given him some edge and defensive tackle guys to go over to talk about. Warren didn't know their names. Warren wasn't sure exactly which schools they played for. And then on the first day they had him, his Wi-Fi went out, so they had to cover for him. Then he said he was going to come back the next day. So they came back on the next day. And of course, Warren got, I'm doing air quotes again, stuck in traffic because he was going to go to his mom's house and use their Wi-Fi. And you didn't get any of Warren's ideas or his evaluations, also in quotes, of edge guys. Look, man, Warren Sapp has been wrong about almost every single person he's talked about along the defensive line. He wasn't a fan of Suh. He was a fan of McCoy till McCoy left. Then he just bagged McCoy after he left, talking about all the things I don't like about him, which, it's unfortunate for me that we agree on that. And then, he didn't like Suh. He doesn't like Vea. He always got an excuse. All he does is promote himself and make faces, and he's not a talent evaluator. He's just not. So for love of Christ, people quit listening to him. And Pewter Report, Scott and Mark, you need to get your lips removed surgically from that man's ass because it's done. I don't want to watch you guys laugh at his face as he makes faces into the camera for 20 minutes and talks gibberish. If you want to have him on, and have him wave his hat and tell a story, like a Dungy story or a Brooks story or a Lynch story, then go right ahead. I'll listen to that. But as a talent evaluator, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He never knows what he's talking about. And good luck to even get him to show up because he doesn't care about you guys. Just leave him. Stop kissing the guy's butt. He's a turd.
I just want to know how much he really would have gone to get those prostitutes to leave in Arizona.
I don't even know that story. I was over Warren Sapp by that time. I didn't even care about that story. All I know is Warren Sapp was caught in a hotel with prostitutes and cocaine. I was like, so, and
shocking.
Yeah. Who cares? And
color me shocked.
Yeah. And then it came out about, how he gave a vibrator as a gift to someone. And that's why he got fired from the NFL Network. He's a jerk, man. He's just a jerk. I understand Buck fans that want to hear from him because of the glory days, and he was and is, or was, he not is, but he was one of the best all-time defensive tackles ever. He was. Very special athlete. Very special. Glad we had him.
Fell to the Bucks
because he smoked a bunch of pot and got caught.
Yes.
But as far as a person, man, an evaluator, just let him do whatever he's going to do because he just Also, get this. This is a story. He was going to be on another pod last year, and those guys called me, and we Zoom chatted because they were waiting on him, and they'd confirmed with him twice, and he was already a half hour late, so they just called me to kind of shoot the crap and basically brag that they had Warren Sapp coming on. While we were on the Zoom call, Warren texted and said, "Sorry, I can't make it. Emergency eye surgery." Like, I'm done with the guy. I don't want to hear from him again. The end. By
The
Rendax.
end. And speaking of the end, that brings us to the end of this week's episode of the Pewtercast. Of course, you can find the Pewtercast on all of your favorite podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play. You can always leave us ratings and reviews in those places to try and help us reach as many Bucs fans as humanly possible. And for those of you that have been watching on YouTube, of course, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Ren, it's time for the Ren. It's time for the Ren addiction. Where can people find you?
Best place to find me is on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football, but if you don't feel like you do feel like your tweet is too hot or your opinion don't want to put out there on the Twitter sphere, feel free to slide in my DMs, or we can talk Buccaneers football there as well too.
There you go. You can follow me on Twitter at Steve Carney. Check out stpete9.com when we talk Rays baseball, and also the Under the Orange Roof podcast, which drops every single Monday on all those platforms as well. Our thanks to fansided.com, as we are the official Bucs podcast of the Fansided Network as well. Just a reminder for those of you that are watching, next week's episode is going to be on Tuesday, because Thursday is opening day of Major League Baseball, and ya boy, meaning me, has other responsibilities that come to fruition on Thursday. So next Tuesday at 7:00 here for the next episode of the Pewtercast. And until next time, go buck yourself.
I wasn't ready again.
You weren't ready.
I even made this.